You may know about the various departments on an aircraft carrier, but how is it loaded? And how exactly do carrier-based aircraft take off using a catapult? This is one of the harshest working environments in the world. In a space of just over 20,000 square meters, more than 5,000 people are needed to keep it operational. Let's step aboard the Nimitz-class USS George H.W. Bush, a $6.2 billion aircraft carrier, and explore how work is carried out on this incredible vessel. The Bush is the most expensive and technologically advanced carrier in the Nimitz-class, as well as the most powerful active aircraft carrier in the world. It's like a 100,000-ton floating base, carrying over $1 billion worth of naval aircraft. With hundreds of different jobs on board, the most challenging and dangerous role arguably belongs to the S-18 pilots. These fighter jet pilots are the face of naval aviation and the carrier's most prominent stars, real-life Top Gun heroes. Day after day, they take off and land in a high-pressure, nerve-wracking job, confined for hours in a cramped cockpit, enduring forces up to 10 times their body weight. Every pilot must remain calm and intensely focused at all times. Out of the thousands on board, fewer than 200 are pilots, and behind each one on a mission are hundreds of support crew members providing essential services. They are the backbone of the Navy. The highest ranking officer here is Commander Phillips, who oversees thousands of crew members. He moves between the 18 levels below the flight deck daily, checking on both work progress and the crew's well-being in every aspect of life. The average age of the crew is just 24, and while fighter jets are at the forefront of operations, pilots rely on their planes being in perfect condition every time they enter the cockpit. This responsibility falls to the carrier's 1,000 maintenance workers, led by Commander Clark. His job is to ensure the roughly 75 aircraft on board are in top shape and ready for takeoff. With at least 25 takeoffs and landings daily on the Bush, each one risks jolts to the airframe. Turbulent air and salt water pose constant threats, and maintenance crews must watch for corrosion. A single oversight could cost millions of dollars, or worse, endanger pilots' lives. For maintainers, the worst fear is hearing that a pilot didn't return safely, especially if the plane was one they serviced. Their work is critical to pilot safety, and they must prepare at least 55 aircraft for flight each day, or the carrier's missions could grind to a halt. To keep maintenance on track, crews visit a supply ship weekly to restock ammunition and parts. On one such day, the supply ship delivers not just aircraft components, but also ammunition accessories. Seahawk helicopter pilots then step in to transport the goods, a process called vertical replenishment. Hovering 5 meters above the supply ship, crew members hook cargo to the helicopter's underbelly before flying it to the carrier's deck. Wind direction must be considered to avoid injury or damage. Regardless of weather, ground crew guide the pilots to the right spot for a safe drop-off. Once ammunition and supplies arrive via Seahawk, workers immediately move them below deck. The 7th level beneath the flight deck is the carrier's most heavily guarded area, where aviation ordnance men receive these materials. Every weapon in the Air Force's arsenal is stored in this ammo depot. The workers here, known as ordnance men, wear bright red shirts, signaling they're the ones closest to danger. These munitions aren't pre-assembled. Ordnance men must put them together. Bombs come in various sizes, some designed for bunkers or moving targets. The smallest are 2 meters long and weigh 220 kilograms, while the largest stretch 4 meters and weigh about 900 kilograms. Working here demands constant caution. A single mistake could trigger a catastrophic disaster. On October 26, 1966, a crew member on the USS Oriskany accidentally dropped a flare in the ammo storage room. The flare's safety pin came loose, sparking an explosion that ignited other munitions. It took 10 hours to extinguish the blaze, which destroyed 3 aircraft, killed 44 people, and injured 38, the worst carrier explosion since World War II. Today, every ordnance man on the Bush knows the Oriskany story and the heavy price of that lesson. Assembling a bomb typically requires 10 ordnance men. They start by attaching the warhead, which includes a laser guidance system, then insert the fuse and install safety switches. Without these components, the bomb is just a $20,000 piece of metal. Finally, they add the tail kit, essential for guiding it to its target. In just a few hours, they can assemble 10 joint direct attack munitions. These bombs are then sent to the flight deck via one of the carrier's 4 weapons elevators. A second team of ordnancemen works topside, loading the finished munitions onto planes. Everything must be ready 30 minutes before takeoff. The pilot enters the cockpit but can't launch at will. Over 30 aircraft and up to 300 people are moving across the deck during flight operations. Without a signal from one of the 15 aircraft directors, the pilot stays put. The bustling flight deck is a dangerous place, filled with roaring engines, spinning propellers, and jet intakes that could suck someone in instantly. Overseeing this chaos is the air boss, Commander Kaczynski, who wears green and works with his team in a small room atop the carrier's island. Known as primary flight control, this tower offers an ideal vantage point to monitor the deck. Kaczynski manages 550 crew members in the air department, the carrier's largest, some preparing planes in the hangar, others assisting pilots on the deck. Ever wondered how carrier aircraft take off and land? The process is incredibly complex and fraught with danger. Before each launch, the air boss and his team create a flight plan, a process called deck spotting. While they can't direct every move from the tower, a team 3 levels below, led by Lieutenant Colonel McGee, tracks every plane on the deck. During operations, the hangar and flight deck are the busiest spots, with McGee's team coordinating over 200 takeoffs and landings daily. They use a backup plotting board, a physical replica of the flight deck, though an electronic version is typically preferred. If the electronic board fails, the backup comes into play. 15 minutes before takeoff, McGee receives orders from the air boss and directs deck crews into action. These workers face the toughest, most dangerous conditions. In 1991, a crew member was sucked into an engine. In 1989, a training jet crashed on deck, killing 5 and injuring 17. Noise is another challenge, so they rely on hand signals. An aircraft director waves the plane into position, followed by a yellow-shirted shooter. Below deck, a catapult control station rises, where a controller directs the lead shooter from a safe spot, relaying commands to others. On land, planes have 1,200 to 1,800 meters to take off. On a carrier, it's less than 120 meters. The solution? A catapult. The plane rolls onto it, deck crews attach a tow bar to the nose gear, and the controller hits the tension button. A jet blast deflector rises behind the plane to shield crew from scorching exhaust. The pilot runs a final check, salutes the director to signal readiness, and the catapult team prepares for launch. With the ignition button pressed, an F-18 rockets off at 290 kilometers per hour in 3 seconds. At full capacity, the Bush's 4 catapults can launch a plane every 30 seconds. But the job doesn't end there. Returning planes need to land. The air boss orders pilots to prepare, coordinating multiple aircraft circling overhead. A deck team takes over, led by the landing signal officer, LSO. The F-18 pilot lowers the tailhook to snag one of 3 arresting cables on the deck. The LSO ensures the pilot catches a wire, a critical task tied to survival. Back in 1922, on the USS Langley, America's first carrier, pilots relied on skill and eyesight to grab one of 15 cables. During one landing, a quick-thinking crew member used cloth strips to guide the pilot, berthing the LSO roll. By 1955, the optical landing system, nicknamed Meatball, aided pilots with a bright amber light indicating approach angle, visible from 2,400 meters. If the yellow light aligns with green reference lights, the plane's on track. Below green means too low, red signals a potential crash. At 14,500 meters out, the pilot contacts the tower, reporting key data. As the jet nears, sensors feed the plane's weight to the arresting gear, setting the cable's resistance. 15 seconds from touchdown, if conditions aren't right, the LSO waves the pilot off. A minute later, the pilot tries again, landing but missing the wire, forcing a throttle up to go airborne once more. Even snagging a cable isn't enough without proper gear. In 2016, an E-2 Hawkeye's cable snapped on the USS Eisenhower, though the pilot pulled up safely. 8 deck crew were injured by the broken wire. Today, it takes just 12 seconds to stop an 18-ton jet. Crews reset the deck in under a minute for the next landing. In the high-stakes world of an aircraft carrier like the USS George H.W. Bush, every takeoff, landing, and maintenance mission is a testament to the skill, courage, and teamwork of the crew. From the pilot soaring in the sky to the bombardiers below deck, Each person plays a vital role in this floating fortress of power and precision. It's a never-ending cycle of danger and dedication that keeps the carrier ready for duty. If this glimpse into life aboard has you excited, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our exciting videos. Goodbye, and see you soon.